without the toy community, I wouldn't be here. Welcome to High School Creations. In high school, I was that guy drawing weird things in the back. I'm a bit all over the place when it comes to collecting turtles, Transformers, Power Rangers, Spider-Man. Got into making dioramas and toy photography. Have this dark room here to photograph growing from a hobby into a small business. Just being a couple of people and be able to scale to where I want to be in the future. There's probably 50 to 100 grand worth of inventory that we're trying to work through to get it out for Wall XD in an economy that with tariffs and all these other things are being pulled down. All my life, I wanted to be a creator and a small business owner. And this has allowed me to become both an addictive hobby that now I'm really deep in.
I found High School Creations scrolling Instagram at 2 a.m. You know, like we all do when we should be sleeping, but instead we fall down a rabbit hole of foam bricks and LED alleyways. The builds were insane, but once I saw the scale of the Wall XD project, I knew we had to come film this.
Welcome to High School Creations. High School Creations, the name is very interesting. I think I get a lot of stares, a lot of questions about it, like, you're not a high schooler, or are you a school? No, it's a very odd name, but I've stuck with it. In high school, I was that guy drawing weird things in the back. You ever seen Rick and Morty? I drew those things and I always wanted to see animations like that, so it's sick that we have stuff like that now. But I drew weird things. In high school, I had this book where I always drew. I did a bunch of art classes. But after that, I kind of put it away, right? I entered my adulthood very early and just did the adult thing, like chasing girls, drinking, doing all those things, right? We do at a young age, going to college. 10 years later, married and having my first kid, and was cleaning out to make room for him. And I found this book of drawings, started digitalizing them. I didn't want to post them myself, so I came up with this name on the fly, High School Creations, right? These were drawings from high school. And I started posting them on Instagram from old drawings that I had that rekindled my creative side. Started collecting figures again a few years later and kind of reminiscing stuff that I enjoyed when I was a kid with my kids. This is the front room, kind of the display room. One of my favorite things coming in here is actually from my sister on this wall here. I'm a bit all over the place when it comes to collecting. I was a child of the 80s. Turtles, Transformers, Power Rangers, even though like you got made fun of. Obviously the Marvel stuff, Spider-Man. Like, I'm all over the place. If someone makes a really sick version of it, highly articulated with, you know, super detail, I'm probably gonna pick it up. Mandalorian, love the series. I probably have 5 different figures of Mandalorian. I would say like here recently, like there's been a huge independent growth in toy creators. And I think one of my biggest and favorite toy lines right now is by Spiro's Toys with AWOC. They are just killing it, and I enjoy everything that they put out. So much so that every Kickstarter, I think I just buy way too much, but I love it. Jason and crew are just killing it over there. And as a small toy company, like I respect them a lot, look up to those guys, and hope to be able to do something like that similar with my next Kickstarter. Got into making dioramas and toy photography, seemed like a natural evolution. And I had always loved architecture, and dioramas allowed me to explore that. And people actually started wanting to buy them or ask how I was doing them. And it turned into an addictive hobby that now I'm really deep in. Every time I see something, I'm like, how can I build that? How can I design that? This is a cyberpunk build I did almost 4 years ago now, heavily inspired by my buddy 796 Studios. We did a lot of collaborative conversations on building this. And it's one of my favorite builds, so I have it displayed here as you walk in. Started out just making it with foam, you know, rudimentary stuff, and then now I'm designing my Fusion 360 and printing them out to be able to produce, you know, a lot of these for people who really want them. There's a lot going on, just to be honest. We have about 2,000 square feet, and we filled it up pretty quick. Thought it would be enough space, and we need more space. But have this dark room here to photograph all of our pieces for Etsy or wherever we're selling them. And so have some stuff set up here, some recent work we finished. But this is what we photograph. Nice dark room, not a lot of light, and really make these things look good. A typical day for me building we're doing a lot of orders on Etsy. We're going to step into where all the work actually happens. This is the main shop, bringing stuff that we make a high quantity of and shipping out quickly. So the past 5 years has changed. Initially, it was a lot of cutting, right, and working with foam. Today, it is getting stuff out very quickly because the demand is so high. I do most of the work here, have quick access to all of our tools and paints as we go to finished products. As we move through here, I get to keep an eye on the machines as they work to make these incredible pieces like this. If you guys don't know, High School Creations does a lot of digital style dioramas and prints those out using additive manufacturing, mostly with FDM printers. You can see the army over there, and they keep working throughout the night unless they run out of material. So the biggest challenge is they eat a lot, so keeping them fed, especially now with some of the filaments starting to run low.
I knew he was making dioramas, but I didn't know I was walking into a 3D printing fortress. This guy basically lives in his own created matrix. There's an army of printers humming all night long, like if Tony Stark collected NECA.
Now that we're 3D printing and we're able to produce, these beautiful water towers, for example, the same 100 times, like people are eating these up. And so we spend our time unloading 3D printers and loading 3D printers, finishing water towers, for example, and then boxing them and shipping. My favorite project I've ever done is a few years ago, I was commissioned by Astonishing News and Reviews, another YouTuber, and he approached me about doing a very large city. And basically he gave me no timeline and no limit on my creativity. And I made this huge cityscape for him. There were 3 buildings that range from 3-story McDonald's to apartments to a back alley. I think it measured roughly 5 feet by 4 feet. And it took me several years to complete because it was using all my original methods, sprinkling in some of the newer technologies, more of a hybrid approach that I'm into now. Had 4 or 5 different methods of how I do foam, because over a 2-year period, like how I did something evolved. So you can see it in this piece. But it came out to be this massive, beautiful city that incorporated a McDonald's at its base. This awesome showcase piece that really, I think, caught a lot of attention about what I can do. After I finished it, it was like 3 pallets. This thing was massive. 3 pallets that I then shipped to Canada. And he finally got it together, super impressed with it. But a lot of what I do now, like I learned actually building that piece. And it's something that he was okay with. He's like, I want you to create the best thing you've ever made. And to have a client with that kind of mentality was super awesome. But we've already got the next Kickstarter planned and got some exciting stuff. Now, all this may not be in there, but this is the things we have planned. A lot of people want window types, people want storefronts, and these are just pieces. Our toy community has been probably the biggest contributor to my growth. Without having the support of the toy community, which has supported me very well, I don't know that I would be here. I mean, they're the ones that came out in the Kickstarter. Over here, we have a lot of our product, Wall XD. This was a Kickstarter I launched back in 2023, which allowed me to move into a small business. They supported me in my early days of toy photography and just scratch building things. From the toy community was one of my references to be on the show for Best in Miniatures. So without the toy community, I wouldn't be here. And I have them to thank for this. Seeing my work in photos is amazing. I've always wanted to be able to make relationships with people through my art and be able to get like something like Wall XD that is just, it's a low run, but still a high quantity for me, and be able to make those artistic connections with all these different people now is very meaningful to me, and something that, I'm now connected to the toy community through my work, and it means a lot to me.
One thing I love about this story, and I think a lot of you can relate to, is that the toy community didn't just inspire Michael, it really built him. Without us, there's no Wall XD, no Etsy boom. That's why I keep saying, support your indie creators. You never know who you're helping launch.
So I spend a lot of time with my family. I'm sure a lot of you do. So I wanted to have a space that was dedicated for them, a clean place that's comfortable, kind of like home, for them to hang out, play the video games while me and my wife work to get stuff out. And came up with this. Just very comfortable, especially as a collector. You can come in here and sit, play an arcade, read a cool book. Speaking of books, have some favorites, Tim Frames, Sergeant Bananas, but have some really cool books for inspiration. Got our toy collector magazines, might as well do some plugs there. But just a really cool space to hang out with the family. This is where the family eats lunch and dinner a lot of times because we work late here. I don't do this full time, so when I finally get to work, it's in the evenings or late into the night. There's obviously a financial challenge with growing from a hobby into a small business, having a Kickstarter, being able to scale. Scale is right now my biggest problem, right? I have a high demand, especially on Etsy and with WallXD, and being able to scale without with having a low overhead, right? Just being a couple of people and be able to scale to where I want to be in the future, right? A larger company producing WallXD at a much higher rate or something like WallXD is my challenge, the thing that I'm looking to every day to figure out, how do I accomplish this? How do I get more out at quality with having the best customer service, right? All those challenges for a growing company in an economy that with tariffs and all these other things are being pulled down. Trying to figure all that out, but still be there creative, with a creative mind. The place that was here before was a flooring company. So like the floors are really nice. They're dirty now because we're working here, but like marble floors, the bathroom have tile walls. They got this cool barn sliding door. Not something I would have did, but it's here, so I enjoy it. But just another cool piece, just what makes this room feel cool and kind of homey. Bathroom. It's probably weird to show you the bathroom, but I'm gonna do that. And the reason why is I put this cool wallpaper up so that anytime you use the bathroom, you can just look at comic art. This is my office and my wife's office, a little quieter. Keep it dark, keep it calm, but this is where I work, design. We try to be heavily technology focused. So a lot of technology to help us be efficient, help us get quality, help us get, stuff out there quick to you guys. All my life, I wanted to be a creator and a small business owner. And this hobby has allowed me to become both and be what I consider somewhat good at it and successful. I realize I have a long way to go here, but I've made it to a point that 5-6 years ago, I wanted to be. And now I'm looking to see, what do I want to be in the next 5 years? And that excites me. It's the excitement and the challenges it brings. High School Creations got me this far, but I think to really move forward where I want to go with the company, I'm going to have to rebrand. So I'm already thinking about those things, like business, like how am I going to grow the business? How am I going to scale the business? Creatively, I want to do more. I want to push the boundaries for creativity. I want to be the leading US-based toy company for displays and props through additive manufacturing. I want to have a facility of just printing props and dioramas for toy collectors and the toy community, but at a much higher rate. Like I want a warehouse full of 3D printers, dude, and just geeking out over all the things that I can make. So this is the unconditioned space. This is where we do our painting, sanding. As you can see, I got the team out here sanding and painting. This is the next wave of WallXD. These are the corners. So all that is up there. There's probably 50 to 100 grand worth of inventory that we're trying to work through to get it out for WallXD. We can take a peek if you want to, but it's just a bunch of boxes. Thousands of customer orders have been fulfilled. Kickstarter alone was 1,500. And that's just the main wall. We have another 1,000 to fill for the corners. Me and my wife sat down early this year and said, what do we want to do with our different streams of revenue, Etsy being one that is now the biggest because of just what we're doing on WallXD. But we really wanted to focus on Etsy, right? That's the additive manufacturing, 3D printing is at the core of that. Last year alone, we did about 15 grand, which isn't a lot, but considering it was just me with 8 3D printers, that's pretty big. This year, just in the first 3 months, we've done 20 grand. So we've set a goal to double. We've already closely did that. And so we're looking at probably quadrupling. And we want to continue to do that, not just with Etsy. We want to do that with WallXD, with the next Kickstarter or wave two. And then we want to do that with commissions too, because I want to be able to have all three of those revenue streams. I love commissions because that allows me the time to R&D and come up with new designs that then I can pump back in to the Etsy side or even Wall XD. So this all feeds itself.
Watching Michael build High School Creations from the ground up is inspiring, not just for toy collectors, but for anyone chasing a creative dream. He didn't wait for permission. He built his own runway. If you want to support Michael, check out his Etsy store, follow High School Creations, and keep your eyes peeled for his next Kickstarter drop. And hey, if you're into stories about building something from nothing, hit that like button, comment below with your favorite part of his setup, and make sure you subscribe. We've got more deep dives into the most creative corners of the toy world and the people powering them every week.